Jon Jones versus Alex Pereira is actually looking like a possibility. You see, I've made plenty of videos talking about how I do believe Jon Jones, at some level, is ducking Tom Aspinall. No. When I mean by some level, I don't think Jon Jones is looking at Tom Aspinall as being like, this is the guy that is going to beat me. The same way that I don't think Alex Pereira is ducking Magomed Ankalaev. Because there is some stuff going on with Alex Pereira that does lean itself to Alex Pereira having a super fight. I mean, dude, he just did like a Brazilian press tour, and he was talking about how Yuri Prohaska, him fighting Yuri again, is looking more likely than Magomed Ankalaev. We can talk about that later on in the video, because I do think that's going to be playing a part in this Jon Jones fight. But I don't think Pereira is ducking Magomed because he's worried he's going to lose. He's ducking Magomed because what does Magomed bring to the table that can't be replaced with Yuri Prohaska in terms of pay-per-view buys? At the end of the day, when we're talking about a Jon Jones, when we're talking about an Alex Pereira, for whatever reason, when we talk about UFC fighters, we like to think of them as like these guys that are all about honor and having the biggest possible fights. Understand, when they mean by the biggest possible fights, they're all human. The vast majority of UFC fighters, if they could, they would have one fight against a medium opponent and make the most money possible and then skedaddle. That is the brutal reality because it's human nature to do that. Jon Jones is looking at this the exact same way. I do believe Jon Jones looks at Tom Aspinall as the highest risk fight for the lowest amount of reward. And he talks about this. We're going to be going through his Twitter, what started this whole beef, just so I can get you guys up to speed. Let's get started. We're going to be looking at his Twitter right now. Okay. It all starts off with Jon Jones asking his fan base, who would you guys want me to see fight the most, Alex or Tom? Understand, up to this point, I have been thinking to myself that Jon Jones is going to fight Stipe and he's going to skedaddle. Okay? And I think the UFC is thinking that same thing. Understand, the Dana White privilege that Jon Jones has been getting is partly because the UFC is trying to stick it to Francis Ngannou. They are not happy that Francis did what he did, and the easiest way to do that, understand, Francis Ngannou lost to Stipe, beat Stipe for the belt, okay? Think of it like that. He also had a close fight with Cyril Gane. Who are the two people at heavyweight that Jon Jones is going to be fighting? He already fought Cyril Gane and destroyed him, and he's going to be fighting Stipe, a guy who has a win over Francis Ngannou. They are going to try their best to put Jon Jones above Francis, even in the heavyweight argument. That is where this all stems from. If you think the UFC isn't this petty, might I remind you that they literally barred GSP from having a boxing match to make some money against Oscar De La Hoya just out of spite, okay? The UFC can be that petty. And I think that's what's going on. They are trying their best for the entirety of the fan base to forget Francis. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to undermine his legacy because he had a tough fight against Cyril Gane and he had a loss to Stipe. If you have Jon Jones beat both of those guys easily, what are you going to do? Jon Jones is better. It's no competition. It never was a competition. Why are we even talking about it? That's the goal. And that's why he's talking about Alex or Tom. Because Jon Jones is 100% a guy that's viewing his last few fights as for legacy. That's one reason he wants to do the Stipe fight. He views it as a legacy fight. It's not a pay-per-view seller. I'm telling you this right now. Tom Aspinall sells more anywhere that you put this fight card. He sells more than Stipe. He does. That's a fact. There's no arguing against that. The reason that he's bringing up Alex here, and why this is kind of a good checkmate by Jon, is like it or not, Alex Pereira does sell more than Tom Aspinall, unless you make this fight in the UK, and the UFC isn't going to do that, because why would they? Jon Jones is the A side in a Tom Aspinall fight. With Pereira, Jon Jones is slightly the A side. But then we go on. Fans are talking, most of the fans are bringing up, oh, you're ducking Tom Aspinall. And then whenever somebody that has a check mark, somebody that, might have an opinion, will say something like, I think Alex would be more marketable and a better fight for your legacy. That's interesting. That would be debatable, but let's see, I'll let him cook. But I feel Tom would fare better, especially in terms of wrestling and grappling. I mean, No shit. And Jon Jones knows this. He picked this one out of there because it is an argument for the Alex Pereira fight. And ultimately, does Jon Jones strike you as a guy that likes to be told what to do? Like, bro, think of all the domestic violence bro has been into. According to Guru, it's sexual frustration. But either way, Jon Jones is not a guy that likes to be told of what to do. I think he views Tom Aspinall trying to little bro him and trying to presser him into a fight. Jon Jones might have another fight after Stipe purely out of spite, and he's going to make it against Alex Pereira and have Tom Aspinall sit out on the sidelines. And then he goes on. If Alex Pereira became champion of the heavyweight division, would you guys consider him the GOAT? Being back in the gym has got me thinking differently. The fight after Stipe may be the biggest move I could possibly make. The killer has already defeated so many champions and... yes, champion. Thinking differently. Maybe the next biggest fight I could possibly make. The killer has already defeated so many champions, and I already consider it a legend to millions around the world. The most massive fight in the UFC could make. Give Alex a chance to avenge all those great Brazilian champions I've defeated. Jon Jones is a smart guy. He is. What's one thing that we've learned from Alex Pereira coming into the UFC? For whatever reason, bro does not like it when you beat somebody that he's even slightly associated with him. He wanted to fight Dricus for beating Strickland, a dude that he trained for like 3 weeks. Like, 100% I think Pereira has a little bit of the tism and he gets connected to people very easily. Because, dude, he wanted to fight Israel Adesanya, not because he wanted to be like the nemesis of Israel, but I do believe part of that was because Israel beat Anderson Silva, a training partner of Pereira. Jamal Hill beat Glover Teixeira, a training partner of Alex Pereira. Who else beat Pereira's ass? Who beat Mauricio Shogun Rua? Who beat Lyoto Machida? All of these great Brazilian legends in the sport. They were all slain by Jon. Understand, Jon Jones put on probably the worst beating I've ever seen Glover Teixeira ever take. That comes from Jon Jones. Jon Jones is aware of the angle that he is playing. He is trying to play the emotional angle against Alex Pereira. He knows Alex wants to go up to heavyweight. He knows Alex is going on a speed run to become a Hall of Famer. That is why he is opening this up with, hey, if Alex Pereira becomes champion over the heavyweight division, is he the GOAT? Because, in contrast, if Tom Aspinall becomes champion over heavyweight, is he the GOAT? Absolutely not. That's not an argument you can make. You can make an argument that Alex Pereira, who has already become a middleweight champion, a light heavyweight champion, by some miracle he becomes a heavyweight champion, like it or not, you can put him in the top 10. Dude, you have the Weasel. The Weasel's saying that if he was able to defend the title against Magomed Ankalaev, he is the 3rd greatest light heavyweight of all time. That's a speed run. He's already one of the greatest strikers we've ever seen. Jon Jones is aware of the angle that he's trying to play. He's trying to posture Alex Pereira as a bigger fight pay-per-view wise. That's the biggest angle they have for Tom Aspinall to fight Jon over Stipe. That's the angle that he's going for there for the UFC. For legacy, that's where he's trying to go. Alex Pereira is better than Tom Aspinall from their resumes. That is true. Alex Pereira beats out most people when it comes to resumes. He's beaten 5 champions in the UFC and knocked out 4 of them. Okay? So Jon Jones is making the right move here. And then we're going into people are starting to come to his side here. Bones speaking facts. I've been saying this all along. No, you haven't, Amrit. You have not. What are we doing? Stop the glaze, bro. It would be absolutely massive. A guy with a chance to be a 3-division champion and the GOAT versus the actual GOAT. Same age, different strengths. No one can argue that would be the biggest fight in MMA history. There's absolutely no fight that generates a payday like that. Marketing would be insane. Wait a minute. Is Alex Pereira actually the same age as Jon Jones? Okay. Alex Pereira age. 36? Okay. Holy shit, dude, they might actually. Jon Jones. Apes? Holy... Bro. Okay. That leans a little bit more credence to this fight. Jon Jones is slowly selling me on this fight. Okay, let's see if he can turn me into this. It would be absolutely massive, a guy with the chance. And then he's highlighting that Pereira could be, just to put him above Tom Aspinall. Understand, Jon Jones might actually get this fight done for that reason. Now, people are starting to come at him, saying, you're doing everything humanly possible now to duck Tom. He responds to this. It's like, you actually think me fighting Tom would be more massive than Alex and I colliding. You see how he changed the argument? It's no longer that Jon Jones is ducking Tom, because he is kind of ducking Tom right now. Now, does he believe that Tom Aspinall is a tougher fight? I think stylistically Tom Aspinall would be a tougher fight because of wrestling. I'm sorry, Alex Pereira is a better striker than Tom. He is. But the point I'm trying to make, he is reframing this entire discussion under, oh, well, what would be a bigger fight? Because the biggest argument for Tom Aspinall, well, the two biggest arguments for Tom Aspinall, well, one is the next logical fight to make if we're talking about interims and undisputeds. That's true. And if we're talking about just what would sell more, and that's one thing that I've been saying, Tom Aspinall sells more than Stipe. That was the argument for Stipe. Pereira sells more than Tom Aspinall, and that's how he's reframing this. Tom only matters in the UK. Newsflash, Pereira is the most polarizing figures in the sport has seen. Tom's a contender who won a belt against another contender. He had saved Madison Square Garden main event. I'm thinking dollar signs, legacy, big picture here. Not what UK fans are dying to see. Literally, dude, Jon Jones might be just trying to troll Guru. Bro. Imagine if that's what it is. He's seeing to himself, okay, who does he want me to fight? Okay, fuck him. We're doing Pereira. Just out of nowhere does that. The worst part is he's starting to sell me on this fight, because here's the thing. Tom Aspinall isn't just big in the UK. I'm going to fight him on that. Tom Aspinall is a bigger name, and I think he will become a bigger star later on. In terms of legacy, I think that's a debatable thing, whether you would do the next promising up-and-comer out of heavyweight or Alex Pereira. But he's reframing the entire thing in terms of dollar signs, which is very funny considering he didn't want to acknowledge Tom Aspinall for dollar signs, even though that would sell more than Stipe. So, I mean, let's be real here. Let's not reframe it too much. But to be fair, Jon Jones right now, a lot of new MMA fans don't realize this, and they'll call me a casual for saying this, but I will defend this because you haven't been around that long. Jon Jones right now, this is the biggest star he has ever been. This is the most the UFC has ever been behind Jon ever since he won the title. Understand that. There is leaked transcripts of Dana White talking shit about Jon, telling him that he doesn't make the choices here. We make the choices. That is what Jon Jones' career was like. Jon Jones didn't get the big money fights. Look at him, he's made money. He hasn't gotten the Conor McGregor paydays, despite him being either the first or second greatest MMA fighters. I'll put him in second. So Jon Jones asking for a money fight, honestly, that is a good angle you can go for, because Pereira does sell more. Nobody's going to argue that Pereira doesn't sell more. That's just a fact. And I think the way that Jon Jones is selling this is masterclass. We are done looking at all the Jon Jones tweets, and I want to talk about this matchup really quick just to end off this video. How do I think this goes? How do I think Jon Jones fares against Alex Pereira? Unpopular opinion, or maybe popular opinion, I'm not really sure because this is such a new discussion. Alex Pereira will outstrike Jon Jones on the feet. However, I can see a scenario where he pulls off another Cyril Gane and just guillotines him, or gets a submission early on. But the one thing that a lot of Jon Jones glazers don't want to bring up is the fact that Jon has trouble fighting people with the reach that are similar to him. He had a trouble with Dominic Reyes, somebody that he has a full 6 inches of reach on. How do you have trouble measuring distance with that? Again, he had trouble with Thiago Santos, somebody that had similar reach to him, somebody who, as again, was genetically blessed. Alex Pereira has a longer reach and is a all-around better striker, better striking acumen, a better arsenal of strikes than Dominic Reyes. I think on the feet, he is going to have a lot of trouble if he can't get him down. Now, when we're talking about the grappling and the wrestling, it is not a contest. Jon Jones knows how to win this fight. And maybe that's how he's viewing this. He views Tom Aspinall as a risky fight that sells less pay-per-views, and that's why, after the Stipe fight, he is going to do Pereira. Because at the end of the day, it is a less risky fight for bigger pay-per-view buys. That's how it's going to be. That's something that I hinted to at the beginning of the video. That's how UFC fighters are going to play. That is how Jon Jones is going to play at the end of his career to get that last little payday. Do I believe this would be one of the biggest fights in MMA history? I don't think it would be the biggest. I don't think it sells Conor McGregor versus Khabib Nurmagomedov numbers, purely because I don't think a pay-per-view could ever sell that again. But I mean, like, dude, Pereira versus Jon Jones main event. Sean O'Malley versus Ilia Topuria, double champ fight, co-main event. Bro. Conor McGregor, Charles Oliveira, 170. No. Pull back the budget a little bit, because Conor McGregor would never be on the same card as Jon. Maybe I'm getting a little bit too into it. O'Malley would be on the same card as Jon. He would definitely do it. You can make this the biggest card we've ever seen to blast off 2025. That is something that I want to put into the MMA community in terms of, like, we can do that. I am a fan of this fight. I don't like what this does to the heavyweight title picture, because I think Tom Aspinall is going to be the unofficial champion. But damn, is Pereira versus Jon Jones not an interesting fight. I do like the idea. Tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you all for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider a like, comment, subscribe, share the video if you like it, or just copy the link. It helps me in the algorithm. If you want a video suggestion or you just want to talk with the community, I have a link to the Discord completely free down below, and a link to the separate channel where I just talk about anything, gaming, all of that stuff. That's going to be in the description down below. Thank you guys for your continued support. We are almost at 10,000 subscribers. And yeah, put your suggestion for what you want for the 10K special. I'm open to ideas. And with that, all that out of the way, thank you again. Adios, guys.